A question I get asked a lot is, how did I start doing stand-up comedy? Well, I'm gonna make this video so that I can just send this link to the next person that asks me, so I don't have to keep repeating myself. But no, I got into comedy in Chicago. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, and I was at this Women in Comedy Funny Festival. So it was an entire week of events and movie screenings for short films, comedy shows, and these were all like by women, for women, featuring women. Like it was a Women in Comedy Funny Festival. So I went to this event they had at this bar somewhere out north, and me being myself, I just started talking to the first person that I saw because I didn't know anybody there. So I went to the bar, bought me a drink, and then I just started making small talk with this guy at the bar. Me and him get to chit-chatting, and he tells me that his wife is actually the producer of the show. So I'm like, dang, we must have had a really good conversation if he invited his wife over and she's the producer of the show. Like, clearly he wants me to meet her, right? Okay, cool. So she comes over, me and her get to talking, and I found out that she went to Second City for improv and I went to Second City for acting classes. I was just taking acting classes just to explore my creativity and learn more of my intrinsic traits. I wasn't necessarily trying to become an actor. I was just trying to get to know myself more, and from the research that I had done, acting was a really good way to get to know yourself more. So after our conversation, she's like, oh, let me see your phone. So I give her my phone and it's open. She goes to Gmail and then she emails herself from my email. And then she's like, she hands me my phone back and she's like, okay, well, you're signed up for the open mic on Saturday. And I'm like, what open mic? And mind you, in our conversation, I told her I had never done comedy before and never thought about it. But for some reason, she signed me up for her open mic. So obviously, she saw the potential in me that I did not see in myself. So I posted on Facebook that I was going to be going to an open mic that Saturday. I put the address, the time, and I said whoever wanted to show up, can show up. Like, I wanted some support. I didn't really know to invite people. Wait, no, I take it back. Okay, new data is downloading. She actually told me to invite whoever I wanted to the open mic. So that's what I did. I posted on Facebook, and then I put the address, the time, and then I invited people to come out to it. To my surprise, I had a good 7 or 8 people from my high school show up to support me. And most of those people I didn't even really talk to like that. They just knew me in passing, and they still showed up to my open mic. So that made me feel so confident just to know that I had people's support that I would not have expected to get their support from. So before I went on stage, I had a notebook, and around this time, I had just so happened to start writing stuff that would later be like material. It was just things that I thought was funny that happened to me, and just things I wanted to talk about on stage. I didn't watch stand-up comedy before I got on stage. I didn't know what I was doing. I just went on stage and I just went through my little notebook material. And right before I went on stage, I was really nervous. I was really anxious. I was still somehow confident, but really anxious. Once I got on stage, all of my anxiousness disappeared. And it's just I just snapped into this person, this persona, this character. On stage, I felt very relaxed. I felt very at ease, at home. I had done this a million times before. It was really weird. So I'm on stage, I'm telling my jokes, and, I hear people laughing a little bit. Not too much, but I was getting some giggles here and there. And that just lit a spark up inside of me. And I don't know, I just felt really good about it. And I recorded it, and if I'm not mistaken, I did about 10 minutes of material on stage. And this was my first mic. So that was really, really, really crazy. My funniest joke was a joke about cocaine, and I knew nothing about cocaine, but the way that I set the joke up was funny to them. So that was oh wow, this is what I want to do. So then after that, I talked to the woman who invited me to do the open mic. I talked to her, I thanked her. She told me that I did good. And I think I asked her some questions about comedy. And then from there, I just started finding all these different open mics around Chicago. And I would meet comedians there, and I would talk to them, and I would get information about another mic somewhere else. And it just became a thing. I just started going to open mics about 3 to 4 times a week. Sometimes I would go to multiple open mics in one night. And in Chicago, they have open mics that run late night. So you can go in the daytime at like 5 or 6. You can go in the nighttime at like 10, 11. Or you can go super late at like 1 or 2 in the morning. So I was in grad school at the time, mind you. And I was studying acupuncture and Chinese medicine. And I got bit by the comedy bug. And like I would be in classes thinking about stuff that I could say on stage because I was burning both ends of the candlestick. I was doing comedy most nights, and then in the daytime, I was studying and working 2 part-time jobs. And on the weekends, I went to classes, and I had classes during the week too. So I was burning myself out on both ends of the stick. Eventually, my mentor at the time told me that because I was burning myself out, I pretty much had to choose between medicine or comedy. And their reasoning was if I choose to do medicine, like acupuncture and Chinese medicine, like I was doing, I would need to give it 100%. But if I wanted to do comedy, there was more leeway to doing like acting and writing, because I was also a published science fiction writer at this moment too. I wrote in a writer's room for this really big, like popular science fiction website. And I would be able to do everything, like if I chose to do like the, comedy, entertainer route. So eventually, like I think like the second or third week of school, it was my last year. I told myself, you know what? I really like doing comedy and I really feel comfortable on stage and I like the way it makes me feel. And I decided that I could always go back and finish school, but whatever fire that I had, that strike of like creativity, that wave, I knew that my passion for that wouldn't last forever if I didn't act on it immediately. Like I knew I had to strike the iron while it was hot, So that's the route I chose. I withdrew from my last year of grad school and I pursued comedy. And that is how I got started in it. Like somebody else signed me up for their open mic. I don't know what she saw within the conversation that we had. I've always been told that I was funny, but I never thought about being a comedian. Even though my dad used to have me watch Dave Chappelle's show and, Comic View, like I never thought to be like a comedian. I just like to laugh and I like to make other people laugh. And that is my story. And I've been grinding ever since. A lot of late nights, early mornings, and just making sacrifices just to master my craft. And that is how I got into stand-up comedy. Any other questions about comedy, about how to stay motivated, about how to overcome stage fright or fear of bombing or whatever, drop them, in the comments. As of now, I've been doing it about 6 years, but I low-key don't count the year of COVID or lockdown because none of the I need some coffee. None of the comedy spots were really like open because of lockdown. So I've been grinding it out. I've been getting on stages, doing shows, and I've been doing my thing, and I'm really good at it, and I'm getting even more confident and a little bit more bold and vulnerable on stage. And I've learned that there are different levels to confidence, and there are different levels to vulnerability. And comedy is really helping me love myself more than I've ever loved myself before, in every way, unconditionally. Thank you.